Well, a very good morning to all of you present over here. So today it's a very exciting event as we have a session speaker here. Hello, sir. Yeah. Hello,
Yeah,
you can hear me now.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Has the band network is quite low, I'll be turning off my video for the session. So today it's my privilege to welcome the exciting session speaker of today's function, CA Rajavardhan. Uh, and today we have with us our branch secretary, CA Pradeep Jogi, and CA Kavita M. Pai, branch chairperson of Udupi branch of SIRC. So today I would like to call CA Kavita ma'am to welcome the gathering. Kavita ma'am.
Thank you, Sujit. Good morning, everyone. Here we are with another virtual session organized by Sikasa Udupi branch. I welcome resource person C.A. Rajavardhan A. Welcome you, sir.
Thank you, madam.
Abraham Lincoln once quoted, "If I had 6 hours to chop down a tree, I did spend the first 4 hours sharpening the axe." So, students, make sure you are patiently carry on with your studies and wait for the day for which you are already preparing. So, enjoy the session. Thank you. So, over to Sujit.
Thank you, ma'am. So today it's my privilege to welcome, introduce to you all the today's speaker of the session, C.A. Rajavardhani. C.A. Rajavardhani is a chartered accountant. He is presently working as a partner in Narain and Vikshit Chartered Accountants, Bangalore. Also, he is working as a chief advisor in Gullak 101 in Bangalore at a financial literacy development organization. He has completed his articleship in KASN and Co. Chartered Accountants, Bangalore. He also works as a teacher and is a faculty for various levels of CA, CS, and ACCA. He has a great experience in mentoring students across Karnataka and probably South India and India too. Not only into teaching, but he is also into various sessions and editorial boards. He has various talks on career guidance as a part of Career Utsav across Bangalore, Hyderabad, Kota, Rajasthan, and for the consecutive 4 years, and it's counting on. So he's handled sessions on group discussions, image management, stress management, and time management at various institutions. It is a part of the editorial team for the monthly magazine, E-Magazine. And his achievements is there are many to say, but a few is is a second runner-up in TCS Sakat Bangalore in 2014, a winner of an Inspirational Teacher for the Year award. Not only a teacher, but a stand-up comic, a trekker, a cycling. He's a yoga. He's into yoga, music, and so many activities. So we are very excited to have you, sir. Welcome to this meeting, sir.
Thank you, Sujit, for such a warm welcome. And I think I had to bribe Sujit to praise me for telling a lot of things that I haven't done. I hopefully end up doing justice to whatever the introduction that he gave. With Secretary Sir's permission, sir, can we start the session?
Yes.
Okay. I'll share my screen, and it's a new norm that all of us should see now whether you can see the screen that I'm sharing. Yeah. Can you see the screen that I'm sharing? It's a blackboard
Yes,
that
sir.
all of us teachers do get excited for. Neeraj says yes. Yes. So let's get started. And ma'am rightly quoted, Kavita ma'am, if I'm not wrong, such an amazing quote from Abraham Lincoln's gesture that if you've been given 6 hours time, you need to spend enough time to sharpening your axe, because with a not very sharp axe, it doesn't matter how much you hit on the wood, it wouldn't get chopped. So with respect to examination, our examination especially at chartered accountancy level, with not enough preparations, if we go to examination, we might have to go again and again, again and again, again and again. It is like a bucket that needs to be filled. Only when the bucket is filled, the water will spill out of it. Till the time the bucket is not filled, it's not going to spill the water out of the bucket. So we need to have a very dedicated preparation. And just for the fact that people have taken up CA, tells a lot about your character and attitude as a person, that you like challenges and that you want to become someone really big in life. So it's never a matter of your competence, it's never a matter of your commitment, it's never a matter of your professional educational qualification that you are going to pursue. but it's always a matter about your mental abilities. So what I've seen across my student life with a lot of my friends and whatever I've seen in the last few years post qualification is that a lot of them don't qualify not because they don't have enough, what to say, technical skills. They don't qualify because they're not able to handle their brain in the right way it needs to be handled. So a lot of people end up failing in 1 mark, 2 mark. It's only because they deserve to be passing, but they just got few small things wrong and they ended up not passing that examination. So today's discussion is only about how to mentally train yourself to ensure that you can do well in the examination. If the barrier is your professional knowledge, classes are conducted at SIRC, SICASA, wherein you can attend, you can talk to your mentors, you can talk to your seniors, you can get the technical knowledge. But if it is about a mental issue, how you handle your stress 30 days before the exam, how you handle your image on the day of exam, how do you carry yourself to the examination on that day? If that is a thing, this is the place where you need to get your solution from. So let's get started. As I rightly mentioned previously, and it was also mentioned in the poster, it was all about rain. It's raining all over in Udupi, Mangalore, and then all the Uttar Karnataka region right now. And I think that's one of the reasons why we couldn't see our Sujit Kumar and we had to just hear him. So let's add another letter to this rain. That's our brain. That's our entire today's discussion about. So brain, in the sense, whenever we call about this word brain, you will have a fair image of brain. So I think this is not something that you don't know. Though we all are commerce students, we do have a fair understanding of how the brain looks. So this particular brain, no, in the tedious examination preparation, we end up draining it. We end up draining it, squeezing it out, churning it out, and then taking the blood out of it. But instead, what we gotta be doing is training it for the examination. We should not be draining it, but training it. So that was the introductory part of our today's session. And this entire thing is in the preparation for examination. I'm not talking about your professional life in the articleship or post-qualification life or anything. I'm keeping my entire session very much restricted to examination preparation. Yeah, because narrower we keep our boundaries, more clear it will be for us to talk. If I keep my boundaries way too wide, then it's too much thing to talk and it will be very general. So I want to talk on specific issues in today's session. So let's get into our brain and then see what will exactly happen in our brain on the day of examination. So let's get started. So the first and foremost thing is, a lot of us do know, I'm not going to tell you what to study, which book to study, which class to attend. That's not part of today's discussion. It's only about small things that we do wrong. So now, for instance, we're on 13th of June. We have our exam coming up from July 5th for CA Intermediate and CA Final. That's roughly about 17 days in this month and then another 5 days in the next month. That's roughly about 20 to 23 days. If you take just the day before the exam out, you have about 21, 22 days left for your examination. Now, by this time, you might have already finished your one-time study. You might all be in the revision phase, or there are few students who always believe like, I only believe in one-time studying and then writing the examination. So either of the categories that you belong to, only thing that you have to keep in mind is you need to have a specific target. You need to have a specific target. If I just go on throwing the arrows without knowing my target, I don't even know whether I'm hitting the bullseye or not. Let me tell it more clearly. So, like you might have all seen rocket. So whenever we see a rocket, till the time its ass is not put on fire, the rocket is on the ground. The time we put the ass of the rocket on the fire, that's when it starts flying high up into the sky. So in order to launch ourselves into the dream land of where we belong, we need to put our ass on fire. We need to put our ass on fire. I mean it. So what we usually do is we have a target. July 5th is our first paper. So July 5th, when it is your first paper, that is too many days, 27 days. So you need not have such a, what is it, target which is so vague. You should have a specific target. If on 5th of July, I need to write my accounts exam or I need to write my FR exam, then 2 days before that, I need to revise it for the last time. So when I go, my exam is 5th, 3rd and 4th will be the first paper revision. So before 3rd, what am I supposed to do? So the remaining days, whatever is there, that has to be allocated to all the subjects. So you need to break your target from to say some 1 month target or 20 days target to daily target. And that daily target should be broken into hourly target. Now, for instance, assume that I have one paper to be revised in the next 5 days. Like usually all the students do this. They keep like 4 days, 5 days for revision. Absolutely perfect. Even I did this when I was a student. So when you keep 4 days for one paper to be revised, starting from 13, 14, 15, 16, you have one subject to be revised. Absolutely perfect. I'll tell you where will you go wrong from here. When you keep a target for 4 days as one subject, you need to further break that target into daily target. That is 2 days for revision, 2 days for FR, 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 2 days for So if you have 4 days for one subject, which has about 12 chapters, so how many chapters should be done on day 1? How many on day 2? How many on day 3? How many on day 4? This has to be devised. This has to be written on a piece of paper. And here, you should not be a mathematician doing 12 by 4, 3 chapters per day. No, there are certain chapters of your syllabus which deserves an entire day. There are certain chapters which can be done in like less than 2 hours. So you need to use your brains in here and then break your 4-day target to daily target. You get what I'm trying to do? And this should not be mathematics. This should be completely logic and understanding and comprehension of the subject. Once you break your target into per day target, you need to jot down that, okay, today's target is these 3 chapters. Once you write that day ka 3 chapters target, you need to break that daily target into hourly target. Because assume I have 2 chapters to be revised in this day. I wake up at 6 in the morning. Now I'm not having any pressure of studying because the day ends at 12 o'clock in the night. I need to study 2 chapters before 12. So I have the entire day. So I'll relax till 9 o'clock. Even at 9, I have so much time that I still feel more relaxed. At 10 o'clock, because it is Sunday, there might be a movie on the TV. I might end up watching it. I might end up talking on a long call with my friend. There is no pressure on me because the target time is end of the day. So to avoid that, what we have to do is we have to break our what to say that 8-10 hours ka target into hourly target. Like by 10 a.m. I should be done with this much. By 12 a.m. I should be done with this much. By 1 p.m. I should be done with this much. You need to have such kind of a target. If not, what will happen is you'll feel very comfortable and without pressure till 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the evening. After 7, you start feeling the mounting pressure on you because you have such less hours in the day and so much to finish. So until and unless you break the target into hourly target, you would never be able to succeed. And now when I have a hourly target, I know I need to finish solving these 4 problems before 12 o'clock. And it is already 11:20. I have 40 minutes for 4 problems. So I know I can't pick a call. So now if my friend calls me, I would tell I'm busy. But if I don't have that hourly target, I'll say, okay, I was expected to take a break at 1:30. I'll assume that this 11:30 is my break time. That should not be the case. You need to have a very, very strict timetable which jots down your monthly target to weekly target to daily target to hourly target. Till the time you don't have an hourly target, you don't really have a target. And I'll tell you, if you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. So it is very important to have a plan which runs down to each hour. And let me tell you, once your examination is over, July 5th, say it will start, the day it's over, or if you're writing CA Foundation, July 20th, 23rd, once your examination is over, you can tell yourself whether you will clear this exam or not without even the results or not, before the results, 2.5 months or 3 months, if you can open your date sheet, whatever you've written, and if you can answer as to what you did on every single day in the last 3 months, trust me, none of us will end up failing. But we do fail because we might not be aware that we didn't study. Like a lot of us don't study and we don't even know that we are not studying in our full throttle. You get that? So if you write these daily targets and then tell whether you studied on that hour or not, so you actually know whether you studied or not. So we will not live in the dream world of whether we did study or not. So that's a very important point. So that's with regard to target setting. And once our targets are set, the next important thing is I have a question for all of you, to which all of you have to respond by typing a message in the chat box. So the question is, are you a student or are you an evaluator? I'll repeat my question. My question is, are you a student or are you an evaluator? Evaluator is the person who corrects the answer and then gives marks. Oh, this answer looks good, 4 marks. Oh, this answer is very nice, 10 marks. Oh, this is not the answer at all, 0 marks. Oh, all of you know that you are a student. Neeraj is saying, sir, I am student. Lakshmi is saying student. Someone is an evaluator. Vaishnavi is saying evaluator. Yeah, Sushma says student. Yeah, we need to, you see, you all know that you are a student, but I'm trying to tell you that you need to remember the fact that you are a student and you're writing examination. That's very important because not all of us remember that we are a student. Now, what should a student do in the exam? He has to write the answers. So you need to practice writing the answers. What do we do in the preparation? What we do in the preparation stage is we don't write the answers. We don't write the answers. I have seen a lot of them. What we do is we keep our class notes from wherever we read or any material, ICA material, study material, RTP, MTP, whatever. And there is a question, there is an answer. We read the question, we see the answer. We read the question, we read the answer. And then we check whether the published material is correct or not. So we're basically evaluating. We're a part of editorial board. That's how we feel when we study. Yeah, I've seen students for practical papers like accounts, costing, taxation, financial management also. They read a ledger, they read the question and they see if the items are rightly posted to the ledger. Tax calculation also, they read the question and they see if the provisions have been correctly applied. So the question that you need to ask yourself is, do you remember that you are a student? You have to remember that you are a student. If you don't write and practice, if you just see here in the preparation, in the exam also you'll be just seeing here. You will not be able to write. So the sand doesn't move. In order to ensure that the sand moves in the examination, we need to ensure that the sand moves in the preparation time also. Yes, I agree. In the preparation, if you just glance through the answers, you might be able to glance through 10 problems. If you write, you might be able to practice only 3 answers. So what I'm trying to tell you is, don't do 10 problems glancing. It's okay. Do glancing of 5 problems and at least 1 problem from each topic writing practice. The day before the examination, you have to write and practice. You have to write and practice at least for 1 problem from each chapter. Yeah, even if for a very bulky paper, where maybe a costing paper, maybe a tax paper, or even in accounts, sometimes people who find it little slow to write, you might not be able to practice 1 problem of every kind the day before exam. But you need to at least ensure that you write enough and practice, right? You at least write for 6 hours, 7 hours the day before exam and then practice. If you don't write for at least 6-7 hours on the day before the exam, it is really tough for you to straight away write for 3 hours in the exam. It's a very important thing. Writing practice is a must. Now, few of them will say, yeah, sir, what you're telling is okay, fine. We'll write and practice, but for accounts, tax, and law, accounts, tax, and costings, no. Even for the law paper, audit paper, economics for finance paper, or other descriptive papers that we have in CA final as well as inter and in foundation, you have to write and practice, my friends. Seriously. Even for a law or an audit paper, you need to ensure that you write, because the way you read and the way you write is very, very different. Yeah. In fact, if all of you apply for the photocopy of your paper from one of the past level examinations that you written, you will understand that's not how you read. You read so beautifully, but when you wrote, it wasn't like that. It's like this. When you read, it is like pulao. When you write, it is like chitrana. It doesn't have that vegetables in it at all. So you need to ensure that you write and practice. Maybe on a day when you read law and audit, study for like 6 hours, and whatever you studied for 6 hours, try and sit for an hour and then write whatever you discuss or whatever you read in the last 6 hours. It is very important to have writing practice. And it's very important, especially at final stage, because till CA Inter, students do write because the faculties in the class definitely ensure that you guys write, and you will be doing bachelor degree or you're just out of your PU and you know have that habit of writing. But once you get into articleship, everything happens on Excel, everything happens on QuickBooks, Tally. You end up typing like this that you hardly write. Your partner only writes because of the signature. Otherwise, you don't write much. When you don't have that writing practice for so long, and all of a sudden in the CA final examination, you're expected to write. And obviously, you all agree with me that writing is way more required in CA final than in CA Inter. It's quite obvious thing. But your writing skills are not that great. It is not even as much as it was in CA Inter, because final students don't have that writing practice. So ensure that you have to write on a regular basis. If you stop writing before exam, you will stop writing in the exam. So it's very important to have writing practice. Remember that you are a student and have a writing practice of anything. Yeah. I usually like this beautiful line that I usually say. I say that if you can teach something to an 8-year-old, you know it. If you can't teach it to an 8-year-old, you don't know it. The extension is, if you can actually write what you're telling, you know it. If you can only tell it but can't write it, then you actually don't know it. You only assume that you know it. Now, whatever the session I'm taking, just in case the internet was so bad that the entire session could not happen, and Udupi branch asked me to, sir, write a beautiful article on this so that we'll publish in our monthly magazine, because we couldn't have your session. If I can write entire thing, whatever I'm intending to convey across in this session, then I know what I'm telling. If I end up telling the secretary, sir, that, sir, I can only talk, sir, I can't write, I don't know how to write, then I actually don't know. I'm just faking it that I know and how to talk. Get what I'm trying to? So similarly, you cannot say, I know this concept, I can talk it, but I can't write it. You can't tell that. You need to be able to put it on paper. In our country, we stopped believing in humans and we've started believing in papers long ago. And we're continuing to believe in papers, at least in the examination level. So if you can put it on paper, you know it. If you can't put it on paper, then you don't know it. And you need to train yourself by putting it on paper. What we do is, we don't train our brain to writing things on paper throughout the preparation. On the examination day, we expect our brain to do miracles by putting it on the paper. So after all, no, the brain is as much as you. Don't expect it to do miracles in the exam. Train your brain to ensure that you have that writing practice. So that's an important point. Remember that you are a student and you are not invalid. Let me take you to the next point. So beautiful clouds, and amidst the clouds is a moon, and this is sun. So can you guys tell me whether you like the moon or you like the sun? I mean to say, when I like moon or sun, what I mean to say is, when do you like to study? Do you like to study in the night or do you like to study in the day? This is a very big debate. Kirat says moon. Night. Lakshmi says she likes to study in the night. Very good. But I think, Lakshmi, your mom would definitely say, no, you have to study in the day. Sushma is saying night. Both. Lakshmi is saying is, yeah, even my mom used to say the same thing. Like, she used to be angry because she used to be not happy because I'm studying. She used to be angry because I study in the night. Day. Bona is saying early morning. Very good. Nihal is saying day. See, what I've observed over a period of time is, whenever I interact on and do this kind of a session, morning will have to stretch in the night if targets aren't completed. Yeah. So Shreya is saying that she would like to study in the morning, but if the targets aren't met, she would stretch it to the night. So that's what usually happens. Yeah. So a lot of us here are morning readers. A lot of us here are night readers. Now the question that is usually asked is, definitely no parent at home would be happy you staying up late and then reading. They would always want you to wake up at 4 o'clock, wake up at 5 o'clock and then study. So that's what makes them happy. But is it wrong to study in the night? The answer is no. Absolutely no. Only thing that matters is study. Whether you study in the night or you study in the day, it doesn't matter. Few times I interact with parents because they tell like, my son is acting weird, my daughter is acting weird. I say, no, they're not acting weird, they're just doing silly. You don't have to take it to the extent where you use the word weird to describe your son or daughter. I just tell them they're working really hard because they're at a phase where they have never been. They need to put in so much of efforts. So few parents are concerned because their kids study all night, or they sleep in wrong times, or they don't sleep enough and everything. So I tell them, no, your son is not acting here. Your son is, or your daughter is going to become someone so big that you would be really proud of one day. So what, if in order to keep your parents happy, you can study in the day. But what I'm trying to tell is, it doesn't really matter whether you study in the night or you study in the day. All that matters is studying. All that matters is studying. But an important point or important thing to be noticed in this aspect is that whenever you study, you need to be clear whether you're studying in the day or in the day. You can't say I'll stretch in the night and then study. If you stick to your day schedule, you need to remember that you need to sleep early in the night. You can't wake up at say 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, not study much or not have efficient study, and then stretch it to late night. And by doing that, you might say that eventually you met your target for the day, but that will screw up your tomorrow, day after, and next 3-4 day schedule. And you are not really clear whether you are a day reader or a night reader. So you need to clearly define. If you miss a target today, that is like missing target today. That should not, what to say, push the tomorrow's target again and day after. Everything should not go for it. You should pay fine for it. Now you have kept two chapters for today, 2 for tomorrow, 2 for day after. Today you are not able to meet your target. What you do is, like, you screw up your tomorrow. Don't do that. Today is screwed up, leave today. Tomorrow's target, meet it. Day after target, meet it. So when you do this, your brain knows that if you miss something, you miss it forever. But if you eventually do today's target tomorrow and postpone tomorrow's target to day after, your brain knows, okay, this body is like this only, always postponing targets. So next time when you're about to miss a target, your brain says it's okay. This is happening. This target will become tomorrow's. So your brain should not have that concept that even it's okay to break a target. That shouldn't be the case. You should have a very clear information passed to your brain saying that no, a target cannot be missed. If a target is missed, it is missed forever. You need to pay for it. You get what I'm trying to tell? So that's an important thing that you need to note. And very important thing, considering the fact that we have 20 additional days left for the examination. This is a very important way our body behaves, what we need to understand. Just imagine that every day, because we're all working from home and not going to office. So what it is, I usually have my breakfast at 11 o'clock. I don't have my breakfast at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. I usually have my breakfast at 11 o'clock. But today we had a session at 11 o'clock. And I was forced to have my breakfast not at 11, either before 11 or after 12. So that's the entire kind of schedule. Now tell me, at 11 o'clock today, my body craves for food. Because for the last 2 months or so, I've been having food at 11 o'clock. Because even when I have some other schedule, I'll take a break at 11 to have my breakfast. So do you agree with me? Or every day, for example, you're sleeping at 9 p.m. So one day you are out, you are not at your house, but still you feel sleepy at 9 p.m. Have you observed this cycle of the body? Like pattern of the body, it tends to do things at the same time. If you've been doing it for a regular same period of time, you get or to say used to that. The body cycle gets adjusted to that. Do you agree with me? Yes. Now, what I'm trying to tell you is, you are a night reader. Absolutely good, not an issue. But a lot of you wake up late and then sleep late and everything. But you need to remember that this body cycle is something that we need to keep in mind when we're studying. Like 2 months before the exam, 3 months before the exam, 1 month before, you do whatever, I don't care. But 20 days left for the examination, there is golden time in your life for the examination, that is 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. Every day, 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock will be the golden time, and between this 2 o'clock and 5 o'clock, you will not sleep. A lot of us have this habit, like if we are waking up early in the morning, 4 o'clock, we study, 2 o'clock our batteries will be down. So a lot of us go to sleep or take an afternoon power nap. What I'm trying to tell you is, don't ever sleep or don't ever eat, don't ever play, don't ever relax or don't ever rest between 2 p.m. and 5 p.m. for the next 20 days. Let 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock be the golden time in your day for the next 20 days. Ensure that 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock, you sit in a place. You don't even get up. You don't even go to washroom between 2 to 5. You sit in one place and then you end up writing. Maybe if you're studying accounts that day, you read whatever you want and then 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock, keep solving problems. Write for those 3 hours. On a day when you're reading law, audit, or economics, or maybe any other descriptive paper, strategic management, or EIS also, ensure that you study for the rest of the day. Between 2 o'clock and 5 o'clock, just sit and just write whatever you read in that. Just write 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock, ensure that you read. And trust me, for 20 days, 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock, if you can promise to make it the most active part of your day, you will carry that habit to your examination. On the examination day, 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock, you'll have very good adrenaline rush. You will feel very excited. Your brain knows that, okay, 2 to 5, too much of energy consumption, and it will be ready. But for the last 20 days, what you do is wake up at 4 o'clock, Brahmi Muhurta, and you study. 2 o'clock, you take a nap, or 1:30, you take a nap, or between 2 to 5, you'll have lunch, or between 2 to 5, you go to washroom. What happens is your brain gets accustomed to it, and you can do that because you're at home. Suddenly on the examination day, at 2 o'clock, your body wants to go pee. Your body wants to shit. Your stomach is growling for food. Your brain is asking to take a nap. All those happens. Do you expect to behave at the best at that time? No. Just imagine, a lot of us know. In fact, this happened to me also when I was a student. Right after the first examination, I used to come out, I used to feel my fingers paining literally. Those of them who written CA inter examination or CA final, if any one of you have written one group or something, you would agree with this. Like on the first day of the examination, when you write and come, your neck is paining, your back is hurting, and your fingers are like little too painful. The reason is, the last 10 days before the examination, we used to lie on the bed, sit on the bean bag, relax and study. You get that? And don't write and practice. You get that? So your body feels very weird, not comfortable. So don't let that happen. And the 2 to 5, you sit in a proper sitting posture, examination sitting posture, and then write. So that's very, 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 very important that you follow that. You get what I'm trying to do? And this last 22 days, a lot of you have this, reading habit is you walk and read, you stand and read, all that. Try to reduce that. Try to reduce walking and reading, standing and reading. For first reading, it's okay. For the revision, at least, try to sit and read. Yeah, don't try to walk and read. For a reason that It is called body dynamics. Your body will get accustomed to something called muscle memory. If I move this muscle, memory gets stored. In the examination, you will not be able to move the body. You should be sitting idle and then trying to recall. When you're sitting idle and then trying to recall, that muscle memory won't work. So to ensure that you will not have difficulty in recalling the concepts, what you have read and revised, at least when you are revising, please sit and revise. Don't walk and don't stand and revise. A lot of us have this habit of when it is a theory paper, we take up the book, go to the terrace or the garden, walk and then read. Yeah. So if you have such habit, very good. If it can push you to study, very good. How many of you have such habit? Walking and reading, standing and reading. Maybe for a paper which has more sections, law, theory, and everything. Yeah, very nice. Vidya is saying Vidya has that habit. Yeah, if you have such habit, I'm not denying it. You can keep that habit. That is good. If it can make you study, very good. But for first reading, keep it for first reading. But don't let that habit be there for revision. Don't let that habit be there for revision. At the time of revision, don't ensure that you have any such habits. Yes. Standing and revising towards sleepiness before the day. Vignesh, but that's a very nice point. Very nice point. A lot of them do this walking and standing reading because it will ensure that they don't fall sleepy. So what you're telling your brain is, if I stand, I'll not sleep. If I sit, I'll sleep. So your brain gets accustomed to it. In the examination, you can't stand and read. You have to sit and read. So you actually might feel sleepy in the exam. Or if you're forcing your brain not to sleep, you're putting your brain out of its comfort zone. Yeah, so that's the point that I wanted to tell. So remember, 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. is the golden time in your examination preparation process. Ensure that for the next 20 days, whether you're a night reader or day reader, I don't care. You study at whatever time you want. For the next 20 days, 2 p.m. to 5 p.m., ensure that you sit at a place and then write. Every day, 3 hours minimum writing practice. That's very much required. So that's whether to study in the night or in the day. Then a next important point that we can go to is like everyone tells us how you all be excited how to study a paper that you're interested in. But every paper at a point of time it becomes little sad, like you get bored of that paper. That's when you feel like taking a break. Now, let me tell you, the only way to kill boredom is change. Only way to kill boredom is change. A lot of us think only way to kill boredom is break. Only way to kill boredom is break. Always remember, the way to kill boredom is not taking breaks. The way to kill boredom is the change. Now, if you're studying one particular subject, maybe assume that you start with strategic management, or you start with economics for finance, or maybe you start with audit at final level or law at final level. You reading that paper, you studied for like about a half a day, that's like 5.5 hours, and you're bored with that paper. What you do at this point is you take a break. I am telling you, if you have not scheduled a break at that point, don't take a break. Change the paper. Go for a practical paper. Maybe like take something to write up. Take a tax paper, take an accounts, costing, or FM paper, and then try and do that. In fact, you need to keep this in mind at the time of planning all by itself. Like talking about planning, few of you have this habit of studying only one paper per day. Few of you have the habit of studying 2 papers per day, which is correct. There is nothing like correct. It's your own examination strategy. Your strategy might not match with someone's strategy. That doesn't mean your strategy is wrong. Everyone have the right to have their own strategy. Brains are different. The way it functions is different. So the persons are different. Strategies what they use will also be different. You can decide to have one paper per day or more than one paper per day. It's left to you. But always remember that if you cannot study the same paper for all day, don't keep that paper for all day. For instance, when I used to study, we had this paper called Information System Control Audit, ISCA. That is your EIS in final level. ISCA as a paper, I'm not saying that I hate it because it's part of the curriculum. I can't hate it because I have to write it. I never use the word I hate it. But the only fact is you can't study that for a long hour. Like I can't study 8 hours of ISCA in a day. I'm not telling everyone. There are people who study 8 hours of ISCA. I could not study that information technology paper for 8 hours in a day. So if I say 8 days for costing, advanced management accounting, 10 days for financial reporting, about 8 days for strategic financial management. If I schedule number of days per subject, I used to always keep in mind that I won't keep dedicated days for ISCA. I won't say 4 days for ISCA or 8 days for ISCA. I never give that because If I keep a complete day for ISCA, I can't study. I can only study to my 60% efficiency. So what I used to do is, I used to stretch my FR paper, which is of 6 days, to 8 days. And every day, morning 1.5 hour, evening 1.5 hour, I used to give to ISCA paper. You get what I'm trying to tell? So papers which doesn't interest you, which you don't like much, don't give complete day to that paper. You will not be excited about that day. So the paper which you don't really like, or which you think you can't study for a long hour, you break that paper along with some other paper and give some best part of your day. Maybe, for instance, you don't like subject A. Don't keep a dedicated day for subject A. Keep that subject A on every day along with one of your favorite paper. And every day when you wake up, do that paper for first couple of hours and then do some other paper. Keep that constant, let it running. Now, what I did with respect to the paper where I was not very confident or where I couldn't study for long, my ISCA paper, I kept it for every day morning 1 hour, every day night 1 hour. Not more than that. Only 1 hour in a day. 1 hour morning, 1 hour night. Was it sufficient? Absolutely yes. How was it sufficient? Because I did for the entire 2.5 months. 2.5 months of exam preparation every day. When I'm studying paper 5, there will be ISCA. When I'm studying paper 6, there will be ISCA. Any other paper that I'm studying, that will be there in the middle of the day. The paper that I don't like the most was there in my top of the day and was there at the bottom of my day. The first 1 hour of the day, I used to study it freshly. Last 1 hour of the day, I used to revise whatever I studied in the morning. So next day, again, a new thing. And then once I'm done with the entire paper at the end of 10 days or 15 days, start with the revision right after. So that paper which you don't like, that paper what you don't like, should come on every day. You should not let that paper bore you. You should stop studying that paper before you become bored of that paper. Now, over a point, it became like I felt like after 1 hour, hey, this is not sufficient. I want half an hour more for this paper. That's how you make a boring paper interesting. Whatever bores you, you can make it interesting by doing it regularly and stopping it before you actually get bored. So that's an important point. And a catchy statement here is remember that only way to kill the boredom is not resting. The way to kill boredom is change, is shifting and gear to another paper. So try and do that and don't stop studying. So let's go to the next one. Next, what we have is with respect to mobile phone and laptop. Yeah, let me take a water sip break. Tell me how many of you do use phone and how many of you think phone has a good impact on the exam or bad impact on the exam. Mobile phone and laptop both have good as well, good or bad impact. Bad impact. Try to study. Yeah. For a lot of them, study using laptop only. No, in the midst of pandemic, the last 15-20 months, no face-to-face class. All of us are studying using laptops and phones always. Someone told very nice. Use phone, but control usage is very important. Yes, very nice. The control is very, very important. Yeah, you should always remember that we should use the phone. You should always remember that we should use the phone. Remember me. I would say try to understand what I'm trying. We should use the phone. The phone should not use us. We should use the phone and the phone should not use us. See, like you you go on doing this, like swipe. That Instagram reels or YouTube shorts or Facebook stories, you just go watching one damn story or one damn reel. You end up spending next 15-20 minutes without even knowing that you're watching reels. Because right after one is over, they straight away show you the other. You get what I'm trying to? So we start searching what is impairment of an asset. Then we just go on searching like most happening pairs in the world. Why did Jeff Bezos divorce his wife? What happened between Microsoft founder Bill Gates and his wife? Why are they divorcing? Or like how is it related to US tax laws? We go on searching random things. And then they end up showing notifications also. Like you're studying on a serious note. Suddenly there's one notification. You see that. Some interesting notification. Some very interesting notification. Yediyurappa to quit as chief minister of the country. That is not the news, sir. You just see that notification. You open it and later they say Yediyurappa to quit as chief minister of Karnataka, question mark. So that's how they catch attention. They make you read. Now you think, okay, this is a bakwas news article, need not read. Once you come to the end of it, then there's one more news article which has a very catchy line and it calls your attraction. And then you go to that. By this, you've forgotten the fact that you're studying. So the phone should be used by you. The phone should not use you. You get what I'm trying to tell? You say that you use phone because internet is free and the phone is free. But Actually, the phone is using you because you are free. You get what I'm trying to tell? So you need to keep a dedicated time for phone, and then you should use it only for that. And today, if I tell you keep your phones and laptops aside and then study for the examination, it is not possible for a lot of us, because a lot of us are dependent on like a lot of us don't carry even physical books. A lot of our material is on phone. We store a lot of PDFs on phone, and if in case we get any doubts, we straight away search it on the phone for the answers. You get this? So it's all about how you use it. It's about you using it, not phone using you. And let me tell you, and a lot of us see this. Okay, we watch movie, and in fact, it was so surprising. Family Man 2 new season is out. Everyone is putting stories saying it. Family Man 2 is out, the best season. What to say, the best web series. What to say, Manoj Bajpayee is so amazing. He got 10 crore salary, amazing acting. 10 years ago, he was here posting all that. Very nice, very nice, very nice. Not at all bad. Now, whenever you see all this, you get influenced. Oh, so nice. I haven't seen. Let me watch it. So you tend to see it. You tend to see it. So it's very important whom you follow. If you follow such a person who keeps boasting about this web series is nice, that web series you must watch. If they tell that, you start feeling like I must watch it. Even then, if you have a great control on your senses that I won't watch it right now, I'll watch it later. If you can tell that to yourself, absolutely great. If you are a person who can't have control on yourself, don't say uninstall Instagram, uninstall WhatsApp. I won't use my phone. Don't do that. Just ensure that be very clear about what you intake. Input decides the output. Now, if I had a really bad breakfast, I wouldn't be sitting in front of you at this point. I would be sitting in the washroom. So my input decides my output basically. So all we need to remember is what we feed into us from the phone is very important. Now, if I use the same phone to read from ICI study material, if I use this phone to see a webinar on certain topic conducted by Sikasa or any other branch of ICI, if we do that, it has a good impact. If I see this to see some interview made by some person, some movie hero or some cricketing star's interview or something like that, what kind of an impact does it have? So you decide what you take inside, and that decides what you give outside in the examination. So your input decides your output. And I'm not saying don't talk to your friends. I'm not saying don't surf on Twitter. I'm not saying don't go to LinkedIn. I am not saying don't be on Instagram, Facebook. I'm not saying, it's left to you to decide. But I will tell you how to ensure that you control your phone. A very simple tip and a very simple, what to say, brainy trick. We're gonna what to say train our brain in this one. So what all I want you to do is now assume that I want to surf for some time on my phone. This is my only getaway after a hectic day. Assume so. After a heavy study. What you need to do is you need not sit on a chair. You should not sit on a chair, lie on a bed comfortably, keep your phone like this and then use. All I'm saying is for the time that you're using your phone, ensure that you don't lean your back to anything. You stand in the middle of the place. You stand in the middle of the room and then start using your phone for whatever you want. If you want to sit, you should stop using the phone. So try and tell this to yourself. Then you can't stand like that for long. Now I want to just know, okay, now assume that there is some internet connectivity issue. Just assume. And 2 minutes is a break in between the session. For 2 minutes, I want to use my phone. I'll mute my video, mute my audio, take my phone. I want to use it for 2 minutes. But suddenly I get carried away. Because I'm comfortably sitting on a chair, leaning my back, fan up there, light is here, nice air. So I go on surfing for the next 45 minutes. And I'll regret after 45 minutes that I use my phone for 45 minutes. And I don't even realize that I use for 45. So what is it that I should? I should stand, not leaning my back on anything. Then I should use my back, my leg, my entire body will say, bro, you're using phone for too long. Relax, sit. And when you're sitting, keep your phone away. And then sit. If you want to use your phone, stand, take the phone, use. If you have to, what is it, sit, keep the phone away and then sit. So if you can ensure this, automatically your phone usage will come down. See, all of us say phone has a little bad impact and everything. All of us know that wasting time on Instagram, Reels, and then everything will have a bad impact. We all know it. But what's happening? We all know that phone can let you get carried away and it will have bad impact. But what? We all know that phone can have really bad impact on our, what to say, examination preparation. But you end up singing a song after that. You get that. You end up singing song. That's the kind of impact. Now, every time I hear the word but, no, after that word but, I can't complete the sentence in English anymore. I am going to sing that song. That's the kind of impact the phone is having on us. So we just need to ensure that we use the phone only when we stand, and we will use the phone, and phone doesn't use us. Yeah, and that's an important thing. And if you people are watching any web series or anything, just ensure you ask your friends to give spoilers to you. So I am a great fan of web series. I watched Family Man first season, but I didn't watch Family Man second season because there are a lot of things happening. I'm working a lot. So I know that if I start watching Family Man series 2 now, my work will compromise. So though I can afford, I've kept it on hold. I know I have certain targets for today, tomorrow, day after. Till July, till June 18, 19, I have some kind of huge targets. 18th and 19th is done. 20th, I'll do watch Family Man series 2. Till then, people are excited. It's okay. People watch. It's okay. So it's that always my work comes first and Family Man comes next. That's the kind of an attitude that I had. But when Money Heist came, then I didn't have much other work to do. So on the same day, I binge watched the entire thing. So maybe your exams are over, then something else comes up that you like, you watch it. Nobody cares. Nobody asks a question. It's about these 20 days. These 20 days, the top priority is not a movie, not a web series, or not anything else. These 20 days, the top priority is exam. You have to let it wait. Yeah. If you don't wait for 20, if you can't wait for 20 days to watch that web series or episode, whatever is launched, then you would have to wait for 6 months to write your examination. So ask yourself which is very a nice option to take. And that's with respect to mobile phone and laptop. The next thing is revision, because we're all revising things, right? With our examination just 20 days away, we are in the revision state of our preparation. So what exactly do you mean by revision? Vision means seeing. Re means repeat. Re is a short word for repeat. So vision means seeing. Re is repeat, seeing it for the second time. So when we say revision, always we have to remember that we're seeing it for the second time, not the first time. We're seeing it for the second time, not the first time. Now assume there is a locker out there and I've kept money in there. Now I need to put the password or get that alignment right to open that locker. I will try opening that locker only if I've seen it when I type the password at first. If I've not seen the password at first, you tell me, should I try opening that locker? When I'm trying to open the locker, I'm revising what I already know about what is the password for that locker. Locker mein money is kept. I don't know the password. I've not seen the password. Should I try to open the locker? I should not. I should not. So remember that in the revision, in the process of revision, you're only seeing those things what you've already seen. What you already seen. You don't expect miracles to happen in the last 20 days. Now, a lot of you people in a specific subject, you might not have read 100% of a paper. You might have read 80% or 90% of a paper. Some 10% of it you might have skipped. You might have not studied. A lot of us, what we do is, whatever we couldn't do in the first reading or reading 2 months, 3 months before the exam, we try to miraculously do it in the last 1 week or 10 days by putting additional pressure on the brain. When everything was calm and cool, only brain couldn't understand that chapter. How can you force your brain to do that? In fact, when you force the brain to do that one chapter that you missed in the initial study, your brain will mess up the entire other chapters what you read. Subject has 12 chapters, you have read 11 chapters. One chapter you didn't read. That one chapter, you're trying to read it for the first time when you're revising the 11 chapters. That one chapter is good enough to spoil the confidence that you have in the 11 chapters that you confidently revised. You know what will happen? That one chapter might come hardly for 10 marks in the exam, but that has the capacity to screw up your remaining 90 marks and then ensure that you get only 50, 60 in that paper. If you had even skipped that chapter during revision, if you have revised only that remaining 11 chapters, you might have actually got 75, 80. You get what I'm trying to tell? So, if you have not read a topic in the first reading, don't force your brain to miraculously read it during revision. Not possible. Don't put that pressure on the brain. Brain is a baby. Brain is a small baby. Treat it like a baby. You treat it like that. Don't put pressure on that baby. You keep that baby comfortable, happy. It will not piss on you. That baby will be smiling, smiling in the exam. If you make fun of that baby, if you put that baby out of comfort zone, the baby will start crying, and the baby starts crying, there is no solution. Calming down that baby is very difficult. Same thing. Your brain, you keep it like a very calm place. It will be very nice. It will perform well in the exam. It will be the most beautiful thing. If you start panicking here, Just controlling this is a difficult thing. It will mess up the entire thing. You get what I'm trying to tell? And a very, very nice revision is important. It is okay not to do revision. I'm telling you, it is okay not to do revision rather than doing a bad revision. Bad revision is more worse than not doing a revision. I will tell you. Assume that I walk into my house. In the evening after 7 o'clock, and there is no light because there is power cut. There is power cut in my place, and there is no power cut as of now. But just imagine 7 p.m. when I'm walking, there is power cut in the place where I am, and it's pitch dark. I open the door. Now I want a candle. Now tell me, would I know where the candle is? Can I go and then take the candle from where it is and then take the matchbox from the puja room? If I know where I've kept it, I can. Maybe in our house, what we do is there is a teapot right in front of the in the living room in the middle there is a teapot. Just below the teapot there is a drawer. In the drawer there is a candle. And matchbox is in the living room door. Living room once puja room when you open the door, right there is a matchbox. This is where my mom usually keeps. So I know, okay, living room here I go, right side sofa, left side sofa, in the middle is the teapot, right below the teapot is a drawer. I open it, I take the candle. And then I go right side to the teapot, go straight. Kitchen next to it is puja room. Open the puja room door. There only the matches is there. I get it. I light it. I do this. So I have got myself out of the darkness. Get that? Yeah. So once I do this, I keep the candle light, and then I'm sitting and then enjoying the candlelight dinner. Suddenly the electricity comes. So what do? I'll blow the candle and I'll throw the candle. If I throw the candle and the matchbox, next time when there is a power cut, I will not be able to find the candle because the candle has been at the wrong place now. It's been misplaced. You get that? So all I need to do is ensure that I keep the candle back at the place where I picked it. Do you agree with me? Same is the case with respect to our examination preparation revision also. Whenever we're revising, remember that everything is already organized in our brain. Our brain is a locker. In the locker, top shelf, paper number 1, second shelf, paper number 2, third shelf, paper number 3. Behind this, paper 4, paper 5, paper 6, side may paper 7, yellow adjust ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು paper 8. It's all organized in your brain because of your classes and then first time reading. When you're revising, you need to take out paper 1, revise it completely, slowly, close that paper number 1, keep it back, and then take out paper number. You know what will we do? We take out paper number 1, studying paper number 1. Suddenly we get some doubt in law paper 2. So suddenly we open law book also. We open that, we read that also. Then this is also open, that is everything will become confused. You get what I'm trying to tell? So you need to study only one chapter, one topic at a time. Connecting topics is important. That has to be done in the class, or that has to be done in the first reading. During revision, don't connect your tax with law, with accounts, with finance. No. One paper at a time. You are reading accounts, your friend is reading costing. Don't entertain his doubts. He or she asks, hey, the standard costing, that cost variance. No, don't entertain. You try to answer them, help them. No, don't do that. Let them find it. Let them find the help themselves. You don't leave your accounts book, go to cost book and then try to find the answer. No. So you need to focus on only one thing. And when you're studying accounts, tax should not be bothering you. Tax, no, that should not be there. You should have a plan. That's the reason. You have certain days allocated for tax. So you are calm. You're like, okay, fine. Today accounts, tax we have a day, law we have a day. Everything else is being planned for a specific day. So today you have a specific target that will make you feel very nice. So let me tell you, you need to do revision in a very calm way. If you can't revise calmly, if you're like flipping pages, don't do revision. Close the book, sit quiet, and then do meditation. Don't that flip pages. Don't do that revision. You should be able to read like, oh, this like this, or this will go like this, or this will go like this. No, don't do that report studying and all. Don't do that newspaper reading of the material before the exam. If your brain is calm enough to revise, you revise. If your brain is not calm to revise, don't revise. In fact, when you're reading for the first time only, you should pick up points as to what has to be revised on the day before the exam. If you have made such points, it will be easy. So, however, it's too late now. If you have made it, read it. If not, you stick to your existing plan. But ensure that you don't flip pages or hurry yourself in reading. Read very calmly. Take up one chapter, finish the chapter, then go to the next chapter in revision. Yeah, don't try to revise 2-3 chapters at a single time. And the next important point is, this is a group of friends. So one friend is telling something, the other friend is also telling something. In between is you, who's wondering what they're talking about. So it's good to be with friends. Friends always help us. Friends are the people whom we need in life. But when it comes to, when you guys meet up, talk about everything in life. Talk about whether US markets are doing good or Indian market is doing good. Talk if it was Barack Obama who was better, or Biden who's better, or it was Donald Trump who's better. Yeah. Talk about whether who should be the next prime minister of the country. Talk about whether the vaccination this is correct or 84 days is correct. Whatever you want to talk. Don't damn discuss about subject, because you are not subject experts. You end up telling nonsense about subject and confusing other person, bringing up questions for which none of you know the answer. So only if you have expertise in that paper, discuss it. If not, don't discuss. Or don't discuss this problem with that second adjustment, what to do. No, don't discuss all that. And if two people are discussing, you stay out of it. You already read that topic, stay out of it. If you have not read that topic, stay out of it. Because little if you hear, no, it will have impressions on your head which are long lasting and which cannot be undone. So always remember that you talk to your friends during your 20 days. Next 20 days, talk to your friends every day. But don't talk to them. How much did you study? Which chapter did you finish? Don't ask them on this. The reason is, whenever your friend says something, he or she might have studied more than you or less than you. Both are harmful. If your friend has studied more than you, then it is harmful because you feel you are slow and it brings down your morale. If your friend has studied less, it boosts your ego, saying that you have studied more. And that is not going to help. It is not a race between you, your friend, and cheetah, wherein whoever runs faster will survive, whoever runs slow will be eaten by cheetah. It is not like that. Both of you study, both of you pass. Both of you don't study, both of you fail. So remember, it is not a race. It is not a rat race. So don't run a rat race, because you might be a lion. You get what I'm trying to do? So don't run a rat race because you might be a lion. Talk to your friends. Shake hands with your friends. No, you shouldn't shake hands. Social distancing. Talk to your friends, but don't ever talk to them about how much did they study or what did they study. Keep it restricted to your personal selves. You get that? Don't talk about the examination preparation and something. Yeah, because it's only going to do harm and not any good. And we're running towards the last point of our session. That's about examination hall. So this is your house. That's your examination hall. This is something everyone says. This even ICAI publishes in the RTP saying that familiarize yourself with the examination hall. Ensure that you know the examination hall where you stay, where it is. Carry sufficient stationery, whatever you require. Carry fluids to the examination. You can carry water, or if you feel like you're feeling dehydrated, especially when you are in what to say South Canara region. If your exam in the month is like May, June, and all, it used to be very dehydrating. I've been there. So you can carry fluids to the examination to drink. You can carry glucose or cool drink also if you want. But just ensure that you can take care of yourself and then give that comfort to yourself. And how many of you have this habit of carrying the book to the examination hall, reading the book just before walking into exam? Like exam is at 2 o'clock, 1:45, you will be still holding the book, walking in the corridor and then reading. Yeah, I've seen a lot of Vaishnavi saying me, Neeraj is saying me, not just you, everyone. Like even I've written even I've written examination now. So every time I used to go to exam, I used to see a lot of people reading, and we have this 1:45 to 2 o'clock, right? That 15 minutes reading time. A lot of them sacrifice that 15 minutes. 1:45, you're allowed to go sit in the exam hall, and at 1:45 p.m. they give you the question paper. A lot of them don't use that 15 minutes also. They stay outside the examination hall till 2 o'clock. Until 2 o'clock, they read. And in fact, see, if I ask you, is it good or is it bad? What is your say? Is it good to read even 2 minutes before exam? Dishant is saying wait. Vaishnavi is saying no. See, that is the beauty of all our CA students. We do few things. We know they are bad. It's not like conscience. It's never a question of conscience. We all know what is good, what is bad, what is right, what is wrong, what is legal, what is illegal. We still end up doing. See, all of us know it's not healthy. All of us know it's not good. So we need to stop doing it. See, obvious reasons. Pretty obvious. Whatever you couldn't do in the last 3 months, how can you miraculously do it in the last 5 minutes? My simple. Whatever you couldn't do in the last 3 months, how can you do it in the last 5 minutes? No, right? You can't pull off a big wall in the last 5 minutes. But still you do it. A lot of them say, sir, you tell like this, sir, last 5 minutes I read one question. Same question came. I wrote 10 marks. Yeah, that question you got 5 marks. Whatever you did yesterday, day before and on, that was remembered so nicely in your brain. Could you write that the exact way? If you ask the question, say, yeah, sir, one question I had read it, sir. But I messed it up. In the exam, I couldn't recall correctly. That's what will happen. So you might say that last 15 minutes mein what we read, no, that comes in the exam. Then don't read, no, for next 3 months. Next 3 months you do internship. Like next 20 days, no, you do internship or you do some kind of volunteering and everything. Last 15 minutes you study because we have this attitude, no, last 15 minutes what we study that only comes for exam. So study only for last 15 minutes. The greatest brains our country has seen, Shakuntala Devi, is called as the human computer. She says that you need to stop studying for the examination at least 3 months before. Lot of us say, sir, 3 months before, so we start studying. So she says that stop studying 3 months before. So 3 months before and all invincible. I'll tell you, at least when you leave your house, no, leave the books at home and then don't carry your books to exam hall. And a lot of them, when they're going to exam hall, they'll be going on that bike. Mother or father will be riding the bike. Behind, they'll be keeping the book and reading. Few people go in the auto and then read. People walk and read. They would have made small sheets. They keep that paper in hand, walk and then read, and then hit a pole, fall in the dug hole or manhole and everything. So what I always say is, for the examination, don't carry the books. Whatever is here is sufficient. Sufficient. That's it. That's it. See, one thing that I'll tell you is, no one is ever 100% prepared. No one is ever 100. No one is ever 100% prepared. Even the rank holder will not get 100 on 100 in all the papers. There are a lot of things what a rank holder also doesn't know. You get what I'm trying? No one is ever 100% prepared. Now your exam is July 5th. It was supposed to be over by now. It got extended. You had more time. Still you couldn't finish your syllabus. I will tell you, even if, touch wood, the examination will not get postponed. Touch wood, everything is perfect. Okay, the ICA is working very relentlessly to ensure that examinations happen on time. If the examination gets postponed to August and you get another 20 days time, let me tell you, in spite of those 20 additional days, you will still not be 100% prepared. So no one will ever be 100%. You get what I'm trying to tell? In fact, the faculty also will not be, I have no 100%. Nobody can tell. Nobody is 100% full. You get what I'm trying to tell? So remember that you can never be 100% full. Be content with what you are. And carrying that book to the examination is a psychological disorder that you're carrying. You are underconfident. Don't do that. And it again brings you back to that locker. Keep your books at home and then go to the. Don't carry books at all to examination hall. Don't carry books at all to examination hall. In fact, in Bangalore, though, I threatened students saying that if you carry books to the examination hall, you won't take it into the examination hall, you keep it outside. I will steal all your books if you carry it to the exam hall so that you can't read it next time. So I tell that so that if you find any book to be very important and then very pricey, keep it at home and go. Don't carry it to exam hall. So my point is, when you go to the exam hall, don't carry the books to exam hall. Leave all the books at home. Study for whatever time you want. Leave all the books at home. Go with only stationery and admit card. Don't carry books. You say, no, sir, I want to carry books. I want to read. Now, how many of you want to carry books and then want to read? How many of you like that reading on the go? Because travel time will get wasted, no? Do you agree that travel time will get wasted? You can use the time wisely, right? You won't be riding. Yeah. If you want to use the travel time very wisely, then when you go to accounts exam, first paper, don't carry accounts books. Carry law books. Carry law books. After writing the exam, when you're coming back, no, you read law. How many of you do that? None of us. So on the way back, we waste time. When we're going to the exam, that's where we need calm, peaceful mind. You get that? And if you see a big match, no, just before the match, people don't do stretching exercise. They do only warm up. They warm themselves up. They don't like sweat out and then become tired. You should not make your muscles sore before a big match. They only do basic running, literal small jogs, and then they warm themselves. They don't strain themselves because they need to strain themselves in the battle. Similarly, your brain should be fresh at 2 o'clock. You should not be tired at 2 o'clock. You can keep it fresh at 2 o'clock. Keep your baby fresh. Now, if there is one marriage happening, your sister, your relative's wedding, and you have a baby, you ensure that the baby sleeps till the event, and you wake the baby at the time of the event because baby will feel fresh and baby will be energetic. If you keep the baby awake since morning, the baby will cry in the event, spoil the entire event. Same is the case with your brain also. Keep your brain calm, peaceful for at least 1.5 hours before the exam. So that at 2 o'clock, when the brain has to use its complete potential for which entire stress that it has acquired in the last 3 years, last 2 years, or last few months, if it has to execute, your brain should be comfortable. You should not make it very discomfort. You get what I'm trying to tell? So brain deserves that break before the show, before the big show. No, I have a session today at 11 o'clock. Do you think 10:45 I'll sit idle, calm, and then like relax, or 10:45 I'll be doing jogging? No, I'll sit at 10:45, relax, sitting in the place where I want to, and then making myself comfortable. So keeping your brain comfortable right before the examination is a very important thing to ensure that you do it. And carry your books to the exam for the next paper. And after your exam, when you're coming back, then read that paper. How many of you do this? No one. That is to be done. That you don't do. Because on the way back, you need to discuss which question, what answer you want. Ensure that you stop the paper at the time of the exam paper. When you come out, don't ever discuss what you've written. You get that? Because there is nothing that can be done with the paper that is over. There is so much more that can be done with the paper next. In fact, I will take this daring step of telling this to you. No matter who asks you, no matter who, whether it is your parents, whether it is your friends, or it might be your teachers also, if they ask you how did the paper go, you don't have to answer. You always have the right to dodge the question. I've done what I know, and I don't know whether what I've written is correct or not. You can stop there. You need not tell how many marks you wrote for, whether it was good, whether it was bad, because every time you tell, you think, and you think about the past, you get lost to the past, and then you don't think about the present, and everything that you tell will go into your ears and will start affecting you. You will feel more depressed only at the end of it when you talk like that. So don't at all discuss about what happened in that paper. Don't tell anyone. You don't have to tell I wrote for 60 marks, I wrote for 80 marks, I did good, I didn't do good. Whatever it is, you don't have to tell anyone. There is no condition. Yeah, you always need to remember, start revising that next paper. Yeah. And what do you say? Gift yourself a chocolate on that day after the exam. Keep a reward. If I write this exam and then come, I'll buy this chocolate and eat, or I'll eat this sweet, or I'll buy myself a pizza and eat. Keep yourself a reward. Smallest of the rewards. Sir, maybe I'll watch this video for 10 minutes, not like 1 hour, 2 hours, definitely. Give yourself some treats, give yourself some rewards for every small act that you do. So don't do anything like always brain likes rewards. Brain like reward. So you need to reward your brain for everything. You say, bro, if you do really well, 3 hours if you can concentrate and then write the exam, once you come, I'll reward you. So whatever your brain feels happy about, give it that. Whatever makes your brain like, yeah, give it that right after the exam. So reward yourself for every small achievements you do. And don't like do things. Okay, I feel like having ice cream, I'll have it. I feel like eating chocolate, eat it. No, keep it as a reward. Ensure that you doing things that you like as a reward for you working hard, and then keep them and do them at the intervals after completely finishing your daily target. And that's the only way to ensure that you can get pumped up and then do really well in things. And always, I had to tell a few examination writing tips. I don't think we have sufficient time for it because it's already 12:20. Then that's with respect to examination preparation and how to ensure that you don't train your brain and to train your brain. And I have a very important point to tell with regard to our day-night thing. Now, I had this beautiful question by someone who asked me some time ago. They're like, sir, my mom wants me to wake up early in the morning, but I can't wake up early in the morning because it's even if I do wake up early in the morning, I feel sleepy. I feel sleepy, and in the night I want to study, but I start yawning. Do you have this problem? I can give you a tip, either how to wake up early in the morning or how to sleep late in the night. If you want to hear, I can tell. And Neeraj is asking for writing tips. So which tip do you want? Do you want a tip to wake up early in the morning, or do you want a tip to stay awake for late in the night? Which one first? How to study late in the night? Sinchana is asking. Okay, very interesting. I'll first tell how to study late in the night. Then I'll say Vaishnavi how to wake up early in the morning. Okay, if you want to study late in the night, what stops you is, first thing, your eyes will start burning, then you start yawning, then you start feeling sleepy. Am I right, Sinchana? First your eyes will start feeling very irritated, you start yawning, and then you also feel sleepy. Oh, Tejas, super to see you again, and I got chance to start what I'm procrastinating. Nice, Tejas. Huh. Is it the same, Sinchana? Like eyes will burn, then feel yawning, and then feel sleepy. Now, how to get over this? I'll tell you why does this happen. Scientifically, I actually interacted with few of my friends who know a little bit into why eyes get dried up, why you yawn and everything. So they basically told me that because eyes have a very small layer of water. There's a small layer of water over our eyelids. And this ensures that when the what to say this whatever you call this wrap, it closes and open, the ice balls will not have any friction and there's no scratches on them. So when you keep it open for really long, your water in the ice will get dried. Water will get evaporated. There will be no water. That's when your ice starts burning. You get that? And you start yawning because there is huge shortage of water. You want excess oxygen in a single go. So the oxygen that's contemplated from the nose is not sufficient and you yawn all of a sudden. So how to break this stereotype? So brain says, bro, your eyes are dry, bro, you are yawning, so it means you need to sleep. So you need to ensure that you should stop yawning. How do you ensure that you stop yawning? You should ensure that the oxygen levels in the body are high. And you should ensure that your eyes don't go dry. So what do? Your brain says eyes are dry, so you are tired, yawn, and then go to sleep. So you should say a reverse technique on your brain saying that your eyes are not dry. So how do you fight against dry skin? Now I have a skin which is very dry. What do I do, Sinchana? Like if I scratch, you can see a white line on it. What do I do? Drink water, Vaishnavi. Wash face. How many times can you wash your face? First 2 times, okay. 10 times if you wash your face, if someone has like what to say skin texture like Sujit, very fair, you'll become pink in color. And water also will get wasted. Yeah. Yeah, Neeraj is saying correct answer. Moisture. Exactly. Correct thing. Apply moisture on your, or to say around your eyes, not into your eyes. Apply moisture on your, like close your eyes and then apply moisturizer. That will ensure that your eyelids are correctly vaporized and you won't feel sleepy and you won't even start yawning. This works. This works. Oh, Vignesh is asking a question. Vignesh, that's a very interesting question, but our discussion is restricted to last 20 days ka preparation. I would talk to it to you in person. Is it fine? He's asking how to cope up with the articleship. Yeah. Wash eyes every time you go. Wash eyes every time you go to washroom is nice, but if you put so much of water, no, you can't. You see, you cannot go like you wash your face, wipe it, come sit. In the next 10 minutes again, you might feel sleepy. Again, you need to go wash your face. So you can't wash your face 2 times every 10 minutes. So the ideal thing is apply moisturizer. Now, what are the side effects of applying moisturizer? No side effects. The maximum that can happen is you might get dark circles. It's okay to be a chartered accountant with dark circles. You can get, if Michael Jackson can look fair from what color he looked, you can also get rid of your dark circles once you become a chartered accountant. Don't worry about your looks. Or if you think applying moisturizers will give you dark circles, then you can apply Fair and Lovely. I don't know if they're calling it Fair and Lovely. They call it only Lovely, or I don't know, Fair and Glow or Glow and Lovely or something. They've changed something. You can apply that if you want. Yeah, that Glow and Lovely. You can try and apply that. That's how you stay awake late in the night. Now, someone asked how to wake up early in the morning. Waking up early in the morning, simple thing, keeping an alarm. But sir, alarm doesn't work. You turn off the alarm or snooze the alarm and sleep. There's another alarm called as this. I'm not endorsing that application. There's an Android app, lot of Android apps called puzzle alarms. So if you download that puzzle alarm and then set an alarm, if the alarm rings in the morning, you cannot snooze or turn off that alarm. You need to solve that puzzle. There'll be a jigsaw puzzle, or there'll be one mathematics equation, 14 plus 4 plus 8 plus 3. You need to type the answer. Till the time you don't type the answer, the alarm will go on ringing. And there is a certain phone where you need to move like this. You need to hold the phone and then move it like this. Till the time you don't move it like this, it doesn't what to say turn off. Or certain puzzle alarms are like you need to put that phone on charge. If you don't put the phone on charge, it doesn't turn off. So alarm goes on ringing. So that takes you out of the sleep. That's another way. If you say, sir, this also doesn't work. Few people told, sir, I throw my phone down and then break my phone in order to stop it. You can do that also. Or few of you might take the battery out or switch off the phone only. Yeah. I'll tell you how to ensure. There's another technique. It's called as body alarm. There's another alarm inside your body. So your body has a clock. Now, what I do is, like if I have to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, I go stand in front of the mirror and then say 6 o'clock tomorrow, 6 o'clock tomorrow. I tell that to myself. Trust me, you don't need an alarm clock. You just go to bed, 6 o'clock in the morning, your body wakes you. This works. This works. But you can't expect it to happen miraculously in 3-4 days. It's a tedious, long process that you need to do for weeks. And then this happens. Your body wakes you up. That can happen. So body alarm is one thing. If body alarm doesn't work, there's one, what do you say, not automatic one induced alarm that you can do in your body. Assume that you want to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. What you do is, at 9 o'clock in the night, drink 1.5 liter water. Don't pee, go to bed. 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, automatically your bladder wakes you up. You get what I'm saying? Drink too much water in the night and then go to bed. Automatically, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, your body wakes you up. If you go to the washroom, pee and come, then you definitely can't sleep. Because when you go pee, wash your face and everything and come, then you can't fall asleep. So it's very difficult to fall asleep after going to the washroom and coming back. So that's another not so nice to hear, but trust me, that works. That works. That's another technique that you can use to ensure that you wake up early. So please tell how to avoid sleep at afternoon when you wake up at 4 a.m. In the morning. When you wake up 4 in the morning, how to ensure that you don't sleep in the afternoon. Don't wake up at 4 in the morning. Just try to wake up a little late. Or one day you just sleep at night. Just one day force yourself not to sleep between 2 to 5. You wake up at 4, just one day force yourself not to sleep between 2 to 5. That day you will fall asleep at 9 o'clock. So next day say it becomes habit to sleep at 9. You get what I'm trying to tell? And 4 a.m. is an amazing thing. This we usually used to do. So with the pool of students, we used to do something called as 4 a.m. club. So as to tell, we used to create a group called 4 a.m. club, and then group in this is not WhatsApp group of students. And I used to tell, you are tagged to him, you are tagged to him. Students used to get tagged to themselves. And in the morning when they wake up at 4, they need to call each other and then check whether if the other person has woken up. Once you woke up, just drop the call. Have you woken up? Yes, that's it. Nothing like, what will you do now? What will you study? No, nothing of that sort. Did you wake up? Yes, cut the call and then start studying. Yes, Sinchana is saying, yeah, yes, we did that during foundation. That worked. A lot of them inculcated that as habit. That's an amazing thing. And in fact, people used to start texting me, sir, I woke up at 4 a.m. today. And by end up after I got 10, 15 messages, even I used to end up waking up at 4. And at 4 o'clock, there's nothing on TV happening and everyone at home is sleeping. So you don't have an option but to study. So that used to work. Then, so that's what is this part of it is about. So any other questions that you guys have? I can take your questions. So that's with respect to examination hall that I told. These are eventually things that we can do to ensure our brain works to its fullest potential. So it's a small understanding that I have made with respect to brain. Someone's asking writing tips. Neeraj, can you be more specific? Because I don't think, how much time do we have, sir? Anyone? Secretary, sir, or Sujit, do we have time?
15 minutes.
How much?
15.
Oh, we have 15 minutes. Then good. Neeraj, if you can be a little more specific with your question, I'll definitely answer. Naveen has a question. Sir, what is average sleeping time required at the time of 4 months preparation? Naveen, it totally depends. Like you can decide as to how much sleep you want. It depends upon the body. There are few people who can pull off with only 5 or 6 hours sleep for 4 months, 5 months. But there are few people who need 8 to 10 hours of sleep. So you need to just check. You sleep for 5, 6 hours every day for 3, 4 days and then see how your body reacts. If you're still comfortable, if you're still healthy, you can try and do that. But if your body starts reacting very bad, you start getting headache, you can't concentrate, or though you are awake, you are not able to study, then you need to increase your sleep time. I'll tell you on my personal opinion, it is okay to sleep for 8 hours. A lot of them say, no, sir, 4 hours, 6 hours. I say 8 hours is okay. It's about what you do for the rest of the day. In a 24-hour day, even the day before the exam, if you sleep for 8 hours, there is 16 more hours left. In that 16, input, output, and then bathing, dressing, everything, if you take away another 3 hours also, still you have 13 hours in the day. 13 hours in a day is amazing. Even the day before the exam, 13 hours is amazing. I hope anyone who's written exam here with me, you would agree, right? 13 hours is nice, right? 13 hours the day before exam is amazing. It's not, you people waste the time at other places and try to compromise on sleep. Sleep is okay, but other places you cut down your time. Yeah, presentation and time management. Neeraj, got it. So with regard to presentation and time management, there are few presentation tips that I want to share. Yeah, I will. Not just with theory paper, yeah, I'll tell you with respect to all the papers. Yes. Starting off, I'll tell you where will you have little bad impact on the examination. Now, when your first paper comes, no, how many days before do you start your first paper? Now, accounts paper is there, or 25th, or FR paper. When do you start preparing for, 5th of July? When will you start reading for that? 4, 5 days before, 3 days before. Now, just imagine, after FR paper, you have another paper. Next paper, law paper or SFM paper, or it depends upon which level of examination. That paper ke liye how many days do you have? 1.5 day. The paper after that, how many days do you have? 1.5 day. Paper number 4, 1.5 day. For every paper, there is 1.5 day. We start doing the mistake by giving more time to the first paper. The first paper, we give 3 days, 4 days time. That's something that we should not do. If it was a middle paper, we would have given 1.5. No? Why do we give 3-4 days now? You need to ensure that you give maximum 2 days or worst case 2.5 because it is first paper and special case. Definitely not more than 2.5 days for the first paper. You might say, sir, how is this connected? If you give 2.5 days or 3 days to the first paper, then your second paper would have been studied 3 days before that or sometime before. So the gap between your revision and the second paper, third paper, fourth paper will go on increasing. And when you revise, always revise in the pattern of the examination. Like if you're writing all 8 papers, paper number 1 revision done, paper number 2 revision done, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8th paper revision over, then first paper just before the day of examination revision. By this, what happens is your revision and the examination date will be equidistant. Because now assume that last paper, whatever is there, when you come down to examination, after the exam starts itself, it's 8th paper, 1 day gap, 16 days after the exam started is your last paper. And last 8th paper should be the last paper that you read before you start your exams. If not, there would be 1 month gap between your last paper day, exam day, and that last time you read it. 1 month is good enough time to forget what you are reading, isn't it? So ಹೇಗೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, if your exam is on July 5th, July 3rd and 4th you read for that paper, July 2nd you should be revising the last paper. Last paper revision should happen on 30th June, July 1st, July 2nd. So you keep yourself equidistant from each of the papers. That's when you stay very close to your preparation to that paper. You get that? And in the examination also, you need to use that 15 minutes very wisely. Don't waste that first 15 minutes. A lot of them go to exam hall at 2. You need to go at 1:45. Read that 15 minutes. That 15 minutes is very important for you to decide which question are you starting with, which question are you skipping in the examination. Because you have a choice, right? You get 6 questions, you write 5 of them. So out of 6, when you write 5, you need to know which is that one question that you leave. Because few sub questions you will know, few sub questions you will not know. So you need to find out the question in which you don't know much, and you need to ignore that question. So you need to devise that plan in the 15 minutes. And you need to devise the plan as to how do you start and how do you end. Which question do you start with? Which question do you end with? Like always, we all know that we always want to start with a question that we are most comfortable with, or question that we know the best, because the first impression is the best impression. And with respect to presentation, when you start with a specific question, answer all the sub questions of that question, then go to the next question. Now, if I start with question number 1, I need to answer question number 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D. Then start with question number 2. I cannot write 1D and then write 2A, then write 3B and again come back to 1C. No, this is not at all accepted by the institute in evaluation. If you start with one main question, you need to answer all the sub questions and then go to the next question. Sir, what if I don't know? How do you manage time if I don't know? You know 1A, 1B, 1D. You don't know 1C. Then what will you do? You start with question number 1, write 1A, write 1B, leave gap for 1C, leave a complete page, and then go to 1D. Leave little more than what you need. Leave little more than what you need. You can come back and fill it later. Then go to next question. Yes. Can we change the order of the questions? Yes. You can write question number 3, then write 6, then write 2, then write 1. Allowed. Sir, but within question number 2, can I write question number 2B and then 2D, then 2A, then 2C? No. Internal order cannot be changed. External order can be changed. You change the sequence of the questions. Totally okay. But don't change the internal order of the questions. Do you get that? And maintain a proper gapping. Like for a practical paper, when you write accounts and all, once you end that figure, leave little more gap on the right side. Now, page may right side, you leave half the space and then start writing answers. Because if you find any amount wrong, you can scratch and then write it in that right side part later. If you don't leave that gap, it is very difficult. Another important thing, if you're writing journal entries or ledger postings, after each ledger posting, leave 1-2 lines gap. Even when you prepare balance sheet, leave 2-3 more lines or one line between each item. because at a later stage, if you identify something is wrong, you can come back and then change in the balance sheet. If you have left space, if you have not left place, then what will happen? You will come back, but you don't have place to change. You will scratch the entire thing and then rewrite it, which will take a lot of time. So leave gaps. Now, a lot of them say, paper will get wasted. ICAI will give you enough additional sheets. You are allowed to take additional sheets. Use it. Yeah. Now, don't say, sir, I'm an environmentalist. I want to save paper. That tree is already cut and the paper is already manufactured. Just because you don't take one additional sheet, the tree will not survive. The tree is already cut. But if you don't pass the examination in this time by not taking one additional sheet, next time when you register for the examination, no examination form 1 page and then bundles of question paper, answer sheet, one more tree will be cut because of you. If you are such a nice environmentalist, no, take additional sheets in this very exam, write with clear spacing, clear your exam with the articleship stipend what you get after CA intern or your first salary as a chartered accountant. Plant few trees. Plant few trees. SICASA also appreciates it. You can, as a part of SICASA club only, isn't it, Sujit? We can start an initiative of planting trees between, what to say, Indrali and Udupi, between that Manipal junction. There's a lot of place. We can plant a lot of trees there.
Yes, sir.
We can. Yeah, if you want to save trees and your environments, you can do that. But do take a lot of additional sheets in the examination. Fill it up. Like, and if you write an answer and it comes to half of a page, don't start the new answer in the same page. Write the answer in the next page. Start the answer in the next page. Don't do this for true or false questions or MCQs. It's only for long length answers, like 4-marker, 6-marker questions. Yes. And yeah, any other questions? Leave a little gap on the right side so that you can come back and then fill it. And between one answer and the other, give a gap. And for theory papers, ensure that you write the answers in paragraphs. Don't write one big paragraph, one whole page. Write it in paragraphs, write it in points. Leave gap between each of the points, one line gap, so that if you find something new little later, you can come back and then fill it. Then, anything else? Any other questions? Any tips for reducing anxiety? Yeah, once you stop studying, you start feeling anxious. Like you should be, okay, fine. We'll start doing something miraculous just the day before exam. You need to have a hobby. All of us needs to have a very good hobby. So hobby kills anxiety. Now, I have a sister who's amazing when it comes to drawing. She draws so nice that when she starts drawing, she forgets the rest of the world. See, when she's drawing, she forgets that she's hungry. She forgets that she's sweating. Even if the fan is not on, she doesn't even notice it. She goes on drawing. Once she finishes the drawing, all of a sudden she feels very hungry. All of a sudden she feels very tired. So hobbies keep us completely involved. May it be music, may it be dance, may it be drawing or anything of that sort. So all of us need to have a hobby. You need to grow that hobby in you. And whenever you start feeling anxious about studies, you need to pursue your hobby. So pursuing that hobby takes your mind off. In fact, I've seen few amazing people, like the day before the exam, they go on drawing, or minutes before the exam, they go on singing, they go on dancing. These are the people who do really well. Trust me, I don't know how many of you have seen. Just search for this particular video. I'm not promoting my video, but I have this very nice inspirational guy called Usain Bolt. All of us might be heard of him. So Usain Bolt, you just see in the race in which he won the gold medal, in the race in which he made the world record, you see how was his entire thing. It's like the race is going to start in next 10 seconds. And then every other participant is tying their lace, focusing, concentrating, and then everything. This guy is like cheering, waving hands to the people, clicking pictures with them, smiling, dancing. He's dancing. That's how chilled he is. That's how least anxious he is. He's not worried. So that's how cool we need to be. Yeah, that's a very important thing that we need to learn from him. And he was asked by the interviewers, like, how can he be so cool and then relaxed when rest of them were panicking? The answer that he told is, like, if I can run in this small phase, it's not like because of something that I do in the last 10 seconds or last few minutes. It's about my entire lifetime of hard work. I'm growing up running and I'm just running right now. I'm just doing what I've done all my life. So there's nothing great that I have to do in the last 15-20 minutes to ensure that I do well. So if you clear this examination that's coming up, it is not because of what you do in the last 1 day, 1.5 day, 15 minutes. It is because of what you've done over last few months that will pay. Last few months of your effort is going to pay the result in the exam. It is not about that just last 1.5 day. Tell this more to yourself and you'll feel more calm. Yeah. And if you want certain tips, you all can start doing a few meditative techniques, maybe guided meditation or lucid dreaming or something like pranayama or sudarshana kriya. I am not conducting any classes for this and I'm not endorsing. Maybe you people can get trained from some place. There are a lot of videos on YouTube how to do pranayama. There's a lot of books. I love this one book. Okay, I'm not promoting this book. I love this book. This book I read this after I cleared my exam. This book is called Exam Warriors by Narendra Modi. So amazing book, amazing book. It tells a lot of things about how to keep your mind calm. It teaches how to do pranayama. It in fact has yoga poses also how to do. It has small crossword puzzles and small write-ups, and it's very nice book. This is actually made for school kids, but trust me, this definitely helps for people at professional level also. So authored by our Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Exam Warriors is the name of the book. So you can try. It's a very nice book to keep yourself little anxious. Any other questions? Heard and use that we need consent. Yes, you need to take a consent letter. That's just simple signing. That's not much. I think I am not really aware of the notification. I think you would have to carry that paper with you when you go to the exam hall. Consent. I'm not really aware, Vaishnavi. I'll let you know if I do it. Yes, I think you've taken it. Thank you all for bearing me patiently and then listening to me all this while. Gurubhyo Namaha. Thanks to the teachers who taught me how to talk and how to write. If not for them, I wouldn't have been at the place wherever I am today. So it's all because of them that I'm here today. And again, all thanks to you people for patiently listening to me and then helping me, letting me help you. And then my heartfelt gratitude to Sikasa Udupi branch for hosting me for this event and giving me this opportunity to share whatever I understand with few years of being associated with students and then education and then institute for what to say whatever I feel to be worth sharing. If any of this could be of some help to you in your examination preparation, that will be something that will make me very happy, and I'll be very thankful that I was able to at least help you with a small grain of effort in your results. And I would expect one small thing in return from all of you people. I've taken so much time out from my day and spent it in helping you people. Only thing that I'll ask you in return for me sparing this time is, if you see someone who needs help, if you see someone who wants to be heard, please do help them. In later stage of your career, when you have a junior who needs little help in guidance, who needs little help, he has some trouble, someone should just hear him. Just be that one person who can hear. So try to help the people around you, and just ask them to help someone else who needs the help. So that's the only thing that I'll ask you in return for me being in today's session and then helping you out. And Sujita shared a link in the chat box. This is the feedback form. Please do fill the feedback form. Yeah. Anything else, Sujit, that I have to mention? And then thank you all. Thank you, Secretary Sir. And then thank you, Sujit, for picking me as a part of this event. And then thank you, Rashrit, for getting in touch with me, Secretary Sikasa Club Udupi. Yeah. Then thank you. Over to you. I'm done with it.
Thank you so much, sir, for this active, like very interactive session, and it was more exciting, not at all boring for a moment too. So it is my moment to thank each and everyone, especially like our today's branch chairperson of OTC branch of SISCA, Kavita Yampai, and our branch secretary CA Pradeep Jogi. He's always been there, either it's a Sunday or something for any of the program, getting us ready, everything. CA Pradeep Jogi sir is there. Then okay, the speaker of this today's session, CA Rajavardhan sir. Thank you for having such a very good and interactive session. And special thanks to my teammates, like my committee members, and all the students who have attended here. And I have to mention the Bangalore branch of the student speaker forum. Like a lot of students over there have attended here, and to thank them too. And Sikasa Ballari and Sikasa Bangalore for supporting us in this event too. Thank you guys for, and we would like to have the same interest from you and same support from you every time. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. And please do fill this form so that it will be very useful for us, so that we can do some good things. Because always feedback, 100 people attend, only 10 people give the feedback. Feedback always gives something for us a change. Like that's what we prefer. It is common that people don't, but it is, we want to change from you. Please do give that feedback. Just 1 minute. It is some 10 questions. I think that can give the same. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
It is a humble request from my side too for all of you to write a feedback, because you all might be knowing Kunal Shah, Cred CEO. He basically made a statement very recently saying that feedback is something that should drive the future markets. If you don't take feedback, then nothing works. So at least they should know what's happening, right? So it's very important to drop your feedback, whatever it is, good, bad, however good, however bad. Please do ensure that today you should expect all people to fill it, Sujit, at least 80% of them.
Yes, sir. Over to Pradeep, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rajvardhan sir. Thank you, Sujit.
Sir.
Yeah.
Everybody can exit the meeting. Thank you, everyone.